number 1, the Whitco Desperados, playing a Robbie Greenidge's arrangement and composition musical Volcano. Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Calypso Showcase, the tune musical Volcano, composed and arranged by Robbie Greenidge for the band Whitco Desperados, the champion band of 1991. And tonight we're going to be talking to Robert Greenidge, who we all fondly call Robbie. And Robbie, welcome to Calypso Showcase.
Thank you, Alvin. Glad to be here.
Well, I want to talk to you before we know tonight we really want to talk Panorama and your work in the Panorama circles, but there's another aspect of your career that I want to touch on. You as a solo panist and your travels throughout the world and what you've done.
Okay. Well, I started out actually traveling and getting involved more in the music when I moved out to the U.S. in late 70s. And from there, I started to make my own career by trying to do my own albums, own recordings, and doing a lot of different shows abroad, where you get a chance to either do some stuff in the movies or on the television screens, or actually sitting in behind some of the stars that performing when you do these shows.
How many albums have you worked on so far?
So far, I've worked on a lot of albums. Of my own, I have 4 albums actually.
Personal ones, yeah.
4 personal ones. And I've worked on a lot of different groups' albums.
Who are some of the big names you've worked with?
Well, people like the Ringo Starrs, the John Lennons, the Grover Washington, Ralph McDonald, Earth, Wind and Fire, much more, many, many more.
You know, one of the things that comes to my mind is how many hours of practice do you have to put in to maintain being, let's say, one of the top 5 solo panists in the world?
Well, I think you should at least, if you could put in a couple of hours well per day, you get up in the morning and you could work on that, doing some of that. Mostly, running all what you think is necessary, like your scales and your arpeggios and all the different patterns or styles that you like to play. And I do a lot of rehearsals myself, and also I do a lot of writing. And as I said, within the writing time, I do a lot of creations for my own songs. Plus I write songs for other people also.
People who look at you play credit you as being one of the guys with the lightest touch and able to play at fantastic speeds without getting rough on the pan.
Yeah.
What do you attribute to that?
Well, attribute to not actually, slamming the instruments. I, for some reason, always like to play a smooth touch. I always like to hear the instrument sing for itself instead of actually hearing the actual sound of the note. And you get well-tuned instrument and you get someone who loves to play like myself, I think, you know, you could, it's a lovely marriage between both of them by actually playing it without, as I say, slamming or no, using, it's more wrist work. I would really want to tell this wrist work.
We get conflicting rumors in Trinidad about what's really happening with pan outside of Trinidad. What's the truth in terms of the development of pan outside Trinidad?
Well, it's moving rapidly, I would say, because there's a lot of different companies starting to open up within the United States and also in Europe, where they're having pan factories making the instruments, and also a lot of the colleges now and the universities out in the States are having a lot of, they're forming their own groups within the college and the colleges. And then what they're doing now, they're giving people degrees in the music industry for that now, particularly at the universities of Northern Illinois universities and a couple others in the Chicago area there.
You mentioned something to me about you're doing something for the Brooklyn University, is it?
Yes.
Can you give me
this is in March. I'm doing, what they're starting to do is they want me to do a workshop and be an artist in residence in the Brooklyn College in March for at least a couple of weeks. They want to start to let the students show them how you arrange a panorama piece. That type of work is the whole idea behind it, because there's so many groups in New York area that they decided that they will call all the groups together and have a seminar and different things like that on how to arrange
a panorama music.
Yes.
Well, we hope to shed some light on that tonight too, as we have done in the interview we have prepared tonight. The scene is the top of the hills of Laventille, home of the champion steel band of Trinidad and Tobago, both when we talk of festival and we talk of Panorama. In fact, the defending Panorama champions of 1994, the Whitco Desperados Steel Orchestra. And it's a very opportune time to talk to the arranger of this band in person, Robbie Greenidge. Robbie, welcome to Calypso Showcase.
Thank you, Alvin. It's good to be here.
Well, welcome back home also, because I know you spend a lot of your time abroad.
Yes, a lot of it was doing some work out abroad in California mostly and different parts of the States. And now, you know, get close to Carnival time, you know, you got to check in. You got to come back home base. You know.
Robbie, I was looking through some old recordings of steel band Desper's records of the 60s and 70s, and it was interesting to find your name listed as one of the players for the band. How long have you been associated with this band?
1964, late 1964, I came into Desperados. I was with a couple other bands before that, like a band called City Kids from Belmont, which is like family to me. It's part of my family anyway. And also the Savoy Steel Band from the next Laventille. That's who I actually grew up playing Panorama next Laventille in the Savoy Steel Band and the City Kids Band. And then in '64 I came up to Desperados, and ever since that I've been here. This has been home.
Have you always played the double tenor or any other instrument?
I played all the pans. Any one of them that they bring, I actually played. When I came in Desperados, I was playing the tenor. Then I moved on and I went on to the double second, and then any other pan then. And then after that, I got into the arrangement arena and started to move from there.
How early did you become attracted to this instrument called the pan?
At an early age, very early. I mean, when I was going to school, could remember leaving, trying to ditch class in a sense to get to the pan yard, because it was just straight across the street from my house. And my father used to come by and make sure that I go to school, because he'll have a big strap in his hand for me to get out of there. And I'm going full speed. But any opportune time I get, any opportunity, any time I get to go out and play the pan, I was very much interested, because I had an uncle. He died now. That his name was Carl Greenidge, and he was one of the early members of the Savoys, the early members of the Desperados also. He used to tune, arrange, and do all these things with his bands. And I learned a lot from him, and then I went ahead on my own, and he passed away, and I just trying to continue flying that flag.
Who were the early arrangers that were associated with the band Desperados that have influenced your career?
Beverly Griffith, Clive Bradley. We had a couple of years, 1 or 2 years of CPO Sergeant, and those are the guys that really kind of influenced me in the band. And as a player, there's a guy, Emmanuel Riley. It's a guy I liked how he used to play, and we call him Kobo Jack. Yeah, and he was one of the greats. And I used to listen to those guys a lot. Him, and as I said, my uncle was a pretty good player also. He never got the chance like how we are getting the opportunity now, but he was great. I mean, he would tune pan, he would arrange, he would do everything you could think about. And I'm trying to follow that footsteps myself.
Now, I know that you have composed a lot of tunes, especially in the foreign sector, four-pan, but let's start with 1991 and musical Volcano, because to a lot of people, this was Robbie's first big effort at a calypso and arranging his own calypso for the band. Tell us about the story of 1991.
1991, musical Volcano was a nice year. I was in California, and I decided I was going to start to write my own material, because another fellow panelist like myself, Len Bugzishab, was doing well nice with that. And I figured that in order for us to make any movements from being stagnated and just playing somebody else's calypso all the time, that would be a great move to go ahead and do our own material and get it done the same way, get a calypsonian to sing it and put out the music, because we figured that we could have done the music itself like anyone else, and just get a calypsonian to sing the song like what they do. And that's what we did, and I decided, well, look, I'm going to try that this year, which was 1991. I recorded it in the US, and I came down here and re-recorded it again at Artist Studio, Music Craft. And after that, what we did that year is I came and I did it, and I presented it to the band, and to see if they would accept it, because we were on the Kitchener kick all the time. Most of our songs was Kitchener, 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 which was great because we got a lot of winnings from it in a sense. But we figured that we had members of the band that could do this kind of thing also. And I went ahead and make the step to go forward with it, and I brought it to the band, and they liked it, and they decided, well, yes, we could give it a shot.
Did you run into any major objections?
Well, yes, definitely I did. I mean, there's a lot of people that say, man, it's great, it's a great idea, but we're taking chances here. And Desperados is a band, we love to win, we love to be on top. We practice hard enough for it. I mean, like everybody else, but I mean, we figure that we have one way that we like to arrange our music and get that arrangement down and the sound and everything, so Desperados sound like Desperados. And they believed at the time when I bought the song for them that it sounded like a Desperados song. And they went ahead and gave me the opportunity to put it down on the pan. And when I put it down, they all liked it, and we went ahead, and we had the little opposition here, and they know, boy, we have to go ahead and must do a Kitchener tune. It's the only way the band could win Panorama, those kind of things. And then eventually we sat down, and we sat down and work, played a couple of Christian tunes, played my tunes, did arrangement on that one, did arrangement on this one, and still trying to line it up. And then the fellas in the band was behind me and giving me the force to really make the song come forward.
Well, I want to talk about the following year in particular because I think when you came out with Panis Majumbi, and I remember the version that was on the radio, everybody said, sweet tune, nice theme, but is Desperados going to keep playing that type of tune? Yeah. Tell me about 1992 now and Panis Majumbi.
Well, after 1991, and as we won, they realized, look, man, you know, we have great potential here of doing this thing again. So what you have? As soon as I got there, what you have? I said, well, I guess, you know, something that I think is part of me, you know, Panis Majumbi. I say, Panis Majumbi. I say, yes, it's like the spirit in you. It's like, you know, everything with you is pan. Everything with me, I eat, drink, and sleep pan. You know, in my house and all, I have a couch is a pan couch. You know what I mean? You know, and that's where I stay. And that year, they accepted it, and they give me the opportunity to really put it over again. And when we did it, we got a very good response. The song was great. I enjoyed what I did on that, and I can't ask for anything more on it.
And you know, what's amazing is that we hear all these rumors about what's happening on the hill, and every time I come up, you say it's nothing like that at all. And then by the next year with Street Party, people were saying, the men don't tell Robbie, he ain't going back that way again. Right. because he lose last year, and it's time to done that nonsense and let us get back to playing real calypso. Do you feel that you are composing what we call real calypso?
I would think so, because with my first set of songs I did, I mean, I actually not take, but played some of those, the patterns, the structure how calypso goes down, the kind of patterns you use, the kind of chordal things you use to make the changes. I use a lot of that. And I figure, well, we wanted to add even a little more to it if possible. I personally wanted to add a little more by making it a little more, it's not, I wouldn't say jazzy calypso, but more with where you could stretch out a little more and do more solos and the chordal patterns that we were on. We could, you know, making the change and make the music go up and down and do whatever is necessary to be, you know.
Make it more interesting.
Yes, you see. So what happened with Street Party here is that before, you know, they figured that we came third, and the guys in the band, I have a lot of them, you know, if we don't win, it feels that they didn't perform well, which I don't think that is the case most of the times. Sometimes there's another band that performed better than you, and
that night.
That night. And that is all you could say, well, look, man, we had a nice song and we couldn't do anything else but to do a good performance. When coming to Street Party, what happened is that when we did the Jambi, later on in the year, as they came third, they figured that we should have won again. But as we say, you can't win every year, number one, and you could play your hearts out, and if it's not for you, it's not for you.
Right.
So what we did is they were wondering, and we had a little talk here and there. Every year we have that. Even now we're having it now. But I mean, every year we have that, you know. And the main body of the band would make the decision on really what song we're going to play. You know, they'll come and ask me, and I'll say, well, look, I think, you know, I like this song, and I think we should do this. I'll put it down here, what it sounds like. See how we take the pan, if we could take the type of arrangement that we are accustomed doing. Some songs could take certain kind of arrangements. Some songs, you have to, it's trouble. You have to work real hard, you know. I mean, you know, you take a song, a 4-chord song and do it, and, you know, you have to put 8 minutes worth of music to that. It's not an easy task, especially if you're doing your own stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so Street Party, I bring it for them. The guys heard it, they listened to it, and they were all in agreement. There were one or two saying, boy, we should end up doing whatever that Kitchener tune was that year. We should go back to Kitchener since we came third. But I think we had a little more guts than that and a little pride in us not to really kind of go back. I figure once we start to do our original material, we should keep going. 1993 Street Party, we had a good thing. In the end, I had a little. We finished the song late, actually, is what it was, and some of the guys was a little afraid of the guys not catching the part in time because, you know, I mean, you have crack shots and you still have guys that would take a little while to learn. And once we get on stage, we don't want nobody fumbling. We don't want anybody playing something that they're not supposed to play, you know, that type of thing. And when it comes to the drill in the yard, we are so precise and short, making sure that they play exactly what they do, what we give them, that we let them play piece by piece, one by one. And that's the part they don't like, called the drill.
Yes.
They hate that. So what they do to avoid that is try to really learn the music before I get there. What we show them or have their section leader teach it to them or do whatever is necessary to make this thing happen.
You'd be satisfied with
Yes, I would be satisfied, and then I don't have to go into them and make them do an extra work on it to get it done, you know. So I believe Street Party came down. We went in, and I believe we got third or fourth again, somewhere around that arena. And they were happy, but they still wanted to win.
The main reasons for doing this interview is to talk about the 94 Panorama selection, your winning selection, and some of the things that you put into this. Because I think there are a lot of young arrangers coming up that can learn a lot from how you approach a Panorama tune, what you put into it, how you get this 10 minutes out of a tune that lasts sometimes just 1 minute long.
Right.
Yeah, and first of all, let's talk about the introduction to Fire Coming Down. Or possibly, before we reach the introduction, let's talk about Super Blue singing this tune and what went into the recording of the tune.
Okay. I did Fire in LA. I live in LA when I'm not here, and I travel back and forth. Anyway, Super Blue and myself connected in New York City. There was one of those award shows there, and the Sunshine Award show up there. And we wanted to, I had these songs in mind, and I figured that I would have liked to get somebody like Super Blue to sing my song and see if, because I figured he have a nice little feel, and he could write very good and all these different things. And I had the opportunity to ask him, and he said, sure, I'll do something for Desperados.
People jumping, Ellie jumping, children jumping, water for Desperado, dial 990. Raise it! Fire! It's in the place. Fire! 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 Lord, the fire start to approach in front of the Tavi Church. St. John and Victor, Rosil and Tonton is boom. Fire! Fire! Mama, yo, Desperados are them up on the throne. Fire coming down! Fire coming down! Fire coming down! Hey, 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 hey. Everywhere! Heat. Fire coming down! Jump! Desperados coming down!
It was a kind of combination because he, as a Calypsonian entertainer, I figure that, you know, he's very good. He have a good energy, and he knows how to rise. He knows what the crowd likes. He knows how to the people will respond back to his music. Little hooks, little this, you know, make it real nice. And I think that was a good thing for me, for myself and Blue to get together. And when we did that, we went to the studio, put it down, and I had one of my producers, Joe Brown, come in with us and work hard on it and pull this whole thing together, even together with Iman Hector as
Musical arranger.
Yes. So what we did is we went in the studio, we put it down, and the record sounded real good in the studio, and we had a good feel, for it. And I said, well, man, you know what, this is the song that might really rocket the place for Desperados.
So let's talk about the arrangement now, and let's start with the introduction. Pentatonic scale to give you that kind of fire brigade coming down the road feel.
Yeah, well, some of that, mostly. And what I did is, when I'm doing my song, I usually kind of do my intro either close to the end of it. Or when the song is finished, then I go back and do the introduction. For us, or what we call the introduction is usually something where we start with some part of the song or something in there to start it off, and then we would go into this big, exciting, chromatical thing, going in and out to take you up to the top and then bring you back down to letter A for the song. And when we do the song and we come back in the end and you could do the introduction last, then I think you could get a better feel for it. You know.
Tell me something too, in terms of the length of an introduction. How long should an introduction? Is there a magical length?
45 seconds to a minute for the most, if so much.
If so much.
Yeah, because
sometimes you get a feel sometimes that people are too long.
Right, you can't really go too long on it because people are waiting to hear the entrance of the song.
Right.
They're waiting to hear the tune start, like you're waiting to hear fire start, you know. And once you hear the melody come in, you know, then everybody say, well, yes, we're ready now, we're grooving.
After making the initial statement and you begin your development, most steel bands or most arrangers tend to go to a sort of variation on the verse, or solo, or improvisation, whatever you want to call it. How much of that is creative, or how much of that you can work out, as it were?
Well, for the first one, the first interpretation of it would be to have the melody played on one of the middle instruments. Usually we might go that route. Not so much the bass, but one of the middle instruments, so that the tenor part can start to begin to feel, look, we need to start play some patterns in here, some lines that would, like horn lines that would accompany the melody. You hear the background, you hear the the background playing the melody, fire coming down, and then you hear the front pan going, but you still hear fire coming down underneath. And then you at the end of the chorus, I mean at the beginning of the chorus, what we'll do is that we'll come back in, playing not a straight melody, but we'll dance 3 or 4 notes on the melody here and there. Bring it back up on the channel line and dance 2 or 3 melodies. And then at the end of that, then we'll set up something at the end of the chorus to either go to the, if we want to change the key yet, we could do that, or if we want, we would stay in that same key and create another verse and chorus with a different feel. Actually, a Panorama tune has like, if you check it out, you'll have 5 to 6 verses in your song. You know,
you go around it that many times.
You go around 5.
And that includes rhythm breaks and little jam sessions as well.
Well, the rhythm breaks and the jam sessions in there, that take up another time too, because you get to some sort of montono section where you say, man, this is what, after you play the tune 3 or 4 times down, you come back around and you say, okay, I need a montono in here to make a hook, to have everybody dancing. I like to use that word, have everybody dancing, have the place alive. Yes. And then you do that for like, maybe 32 bars or something, or 16 bars, 32 bars, and then you dance back into the tune, which would be the verse, either in the same key or you might change the key. But whatever you do to lead up to make that change key, that'll be a nice modulation, something to really say, well, yes, man. It's so smooth that you don't really realize that it's slipping in there. You don't want it so raw to know, well, I'm going to change a key now, I'm going to change a key, you know what I mean?
In fact, I think the judges frowned on that approach.
Yes.
It surprised me.
Yeah, play something different. Give me something that I never hear or would like to play for myself.
Right.
So that's what we do there in that section. After the monotone, we come out and we put in a nice verse. Something that would, show the skills of the players. That kind of because down in there in about the 4th or 5th verse, so you're showing something that with the skill of the players, how they could really maneuver the instrument without really any problems. And Desperados have some great players that, when it comes to that kind of thing, I figured things like that they have the edge, because once they get to learn it and go down on it, heaven help who coming behind.
I like that. No, one of the most memorable parts of that tune for me is the build-up to your entry into the minor section of this tune. I mean, to me, it's heavenly, and I want you to tell me a little bit about that.
The build-up on that was for. I tried. To me, it sounds semi-classical, a little bit, but it was a cross between that and some pop stuff I was doing that I worked classical pop kind of with a mournful kind of finish. The mournful finish comes in because you're coming into the minor.
Right.
And minor is always a mournful kind of mode.
closing off a Panorama piece. How difficult is that, and what did you do in this instance?
What I did with this one is to close it off. I went back to my introduction. I didn't end it just to end it and say that was it. I went back to the introduction and played back what I played in the intro to get back that same sort of exciting finish that you did when it's, exciting intro, the feel of it.
Come back to it.
Come back, that's what I did. You come back to that feel because you build up, as I said, the intro is something that, you start like this and you 3-4 bars into it and, in about 30 seconds you should be really skyrocketing with whatever you do on that. And I came back to the introduction and used the same skyrocketing part on the end of it and then put some drops on the end to make it, jump, 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 and hold it out and have the crowd take part in that.
Well, back to Robbie Greenidge. And Robbie, first of all, your impressions of looking back over the 4 years of your career as a arranger for the band Desperados.
It's great. I was some of the things I look back and I said, man, we were really deep into this thing. It takes a lot to really, accomplish what we did with all those within the last 4 years.
Well, Robbie, we want to thank you very much for this educational show that you've given us.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure a lot of arrangers have learned a few tricks from you tonight, and best of luck in 1995.
I want to thank the public also for supporting me well into this Panorama and supporting the Pan movement as usual. And thanks very much for everything.
Thanks again, Robbie. And we go out now with the Desperados, the defending champions for 1995, playing Fire Coming Down.